What's going on, YouTube? Here is the review I promised of Xenoblade Chronicles. I have the cover on the other side. Before I get started, if any of you have a beta code to PlayStation All Stars, I'd really appreciate that because I am a PlayStation Plus member, but I did not get an email. But I am very interested in playing that game. I want to see what it's like. I want to try it out. So if you have a beta code you don't need, hit me up in my PN box. Thank you in advance. But moving on to the review, Xenoblade Chronicles. Where to even begin? Like, there's so much in this game. I can't really get into much depth with specifics and things of that nature because this would be like too long of a video. I could not fit a whole review of this game like in under even like 20 minutes. That's how big this game is, and by big, I'm not talking about like only physically. Like, when you run to a field, it's just absolutely, massive and stuff. I'm just talking about there's so many, things you can do. There's so much side quests. There's so many side quests. There's, weapon gem crafting, things of that nature, material quests. There's the character affinity, which is basically a system they have in place where you can improve basically the relationship between your characters. And what that does is that it actually helps them in combat if you have them in the same party, and also helps them when they're making, weapon gems and things of that nature. But to kind of just talk about the game generally, yes, this is like another story. This is a story about, people with swords, in magic, whatever, going on a journey. But I assure you, that's pretty much where the genericness ends. That's pretty much where it ends. Because everything else in this game is absolutely unique, down to the combat system, the characters, and even the world itself, because the world, if you guys know anything about Xenoblade, whatever, the world is, or actually worlds, but yeah, it's in one world. The world that these people are actually running on are like these giant, gods that are like, dormant. So, the whole scope of the game, it's just absolutely epic. And one of the titans called Bionis, that's the one you start off on. Like, you come out of a cave and you're in this huge field, and you like look up, and you can see the other Titan. His name is Mechon. So you can see the other Titan, like, just like towering, over you. It's just the game is huge and just epic in scope. Talk about the combat system a little bit. It's kind of MMO-ish. And don't take that the wrong way. I'm not necessarily talking about gameplay wise. By MMO-ish, I'm talking about how you have the power to pretty much kind of turn your characters, certain characters, into whatever you want them to be. If you guys have played an MMO before, you know what I'm talking about. Like, you'll be going to a certain place to train or grind or whatever. Like, okay, we need a tank. Okay, we need a healer. Okay, we need a damage per second character. You can pretty much do that with this game. Now, some characters do have, default attributes that would make them more suited for certain, roles, like a tank or whatnot. But certain characters, they actually have abilities that are either, magic based or, physical based. And so what you can do is you can, give them equipment or equip weapon gems onto that equipment so you can, have those accommodate the certain skills you want them to have. You see what I'm saying? So one character, for instance, she has a bunch of ether moves. Ether is basically, the magic in this game. She has a bunch of ether moves, and she has a bunch of, physical attack moves. So what you can either do is give her a lot of a strength, weapon set or whatever, armor set and weapon gems, or you could give her, a bunch of ether sets. And also she has some speed abilities, so you could just give her a bunch of agility, and she could just be a auto attack, damage per second character. You see what I'm saying? So you could really, you have a lot of customization with your characters. You could, make them, magic based, melee based, tank, high defense tank, agility tank, stuff like that. So that's what I mean by it's kind of MMO-ish. But yeah, the battle system is really good. It may seem boring to watch, when you're sitting there watching some gameplay Xenoblade Chronicles, but it's actually really fun to actually play. Now the story, one of the best stories I have experienced this generation. Like, holy crap! And there's so many twists and turns. There's betrayal, but the betrayals are, they're not things you see coming. They're betrayals you really don't expect, like, at all. Like, when it happens, you're like, holy shit. But yeah, there's a bunch of twists in the stories. The story, it will have you hooked. you will not want to put the game down because you just want to keep playing to get to the next cutscene. It's really emotional. Whatever, you will like these characters. These characters are very likable. They're not your typical, just generic, no thought put into them, JRPG characters. You know, Not like that at all. Every last character in this game is absolutely likable, down to the villains. The villains are awesome too. Like I said, the scope of the game in itself is just massive. There is tons and tons and tons and tons of areas you can go to, and then there's branching areas in those areas. And if you guys saw that video I put up, Xenoblade Chronicles in 1080p, you see how long it takes just to run across one field. Now you don't have to do that. When you first get into an area, yeah, you have to run across the whole field or whatever. But after you've completed an area, you can always go back to that area because they allow it to where you can skip to certain landmarks you discovered in all the previous areas you've been to. You see what I'm saying? Which thank God they had that implemented, because if you try to go from the end game back to the beginning of the game, you'll be running for like 48 hours, like straight. That's how big this game is. There's skill trees in this game, and the best way I can explain this is like Final Fantasy X. If you guys have played Final Fantasy X, you know what the sphere grid system is. It's pretty much like that. Basically, every character has their own individual skill tree. They have like 3 rows of certain attributes they could fill out. And once you fill out all 3 of the rows, what you can do is that you can take that character and then you could link them to your other character's skill trees, and you can get attributes from the other characters. You see what I'm saying? And the more affinity between the characters, the more you improve the relationship between them or whatever, the more abilities, the more attributes you could take from their skill trees into that character's skill tree. You see what I'm saying? So that kind of helps with the character customization as well. Being able to kind of tailor them to what role you want them to fit, in combat, things of that nature. God, there's just so much to talk about this game, but I can't cover it all in one review. But I'm not going to give this game a score. The game really doesn't need a score. I said it's the best RPG this generation, so why the hell would I need to give a score? If I say it's the best RPG this generation, that means you need to get it, hands down, And definitely I have to say this is the best game on Wii, like hands down. It's definitely the best game on Wii. So best game on Wii, best game this generation. Now, to talk about some cons, there really isn't any huge flaws in this game. Matter of fact, the flaws you could pretty much just call small little annoyances. But nothing in this game, none of the flaws are necessarily just a game breaking deal, a deal breaker. You see what I'm saying? For instance, the AI really sucks with a few of the characters. For instance, one of the characters, her name is Melia. She's like the magic user. The AI will sometimes just stop attacking altogether with her, and she'll just be standing there, just like sparkling and shit with her magic. It's just retarded. So basically, if you want to play with her, you actually have to control her. Otherwise, she's completely useless because the AI does not know how to, use her properly. You see what I'm saying? So there is things like that, like really annoying things, but nothing that, necessarily, ruins the game for you, things of that nature. What else? Another annoying thing, I don't know if it's my controller pro or what, but one thing I've noticed is that sometimes there's button delay. And I don't know if that's just me. If any of you have experienced this, tell me in the comments below. But for instance, I'll be trying to select an enemy, select a different enemy, and I'll be tapping L to do that, and it doesn't go over. So I just keep tapping L and L, and then it finally goes over. And no, I'm not talking about when I'm being locked on by an enemy and things like that. I'm not talking about that. I don't know. Maybe that's my controller. Maybe that's my shoulder buttons. I don't know, but whenever I try to select a different enemy or whatever, it's like it won't take. It's like some kind of input delay or something like that. You see what I'm saying? You can't just change target, change target, change target. It's like you have a cooldown, or when you can change targets or like something like that. It's really weird, and sometimes it happens to me with the skills too. Like I'll be clicking on a skill, and the sound that pops up when you click on a skill, it'll go off, but I won't actually execute the skill, which is really weird. So those are some things, none of those things necessarily have gotten me killed or whatever. Like I said, they're just really annoying things that kind of just piss me off. It's those small things that piss you off the most. But yeah, there really isn't any, huge flaw that just, would make somebody dock off 5 points, of the game or whatever. The art style is great, the graphics are great. But play it on a tube TV. Because I don't know if it was just my TV. I'm just speaking from my experience. This game looks like utter shit on an HD TV. It looks like crap. Okay, it is blurry. This Jag Central. The textures become like low res somehow. Like, I just don't understand it. So I played this game on my tube TV. And it looks great on the 480p TV. It looks crap on the HD TV. I'm just speaking from my experience. So I recommend, if you have an old tube, you know, like, and I'm being serious, if you have a 480p TV, definitely play this game on there, because you know how some Wii games could look on HD TVs. But yeah, like I said, the art style is great. The only thing that bothered me graphics wise was, like I said, the HD TV, but I didn't really play it on there. Their fingers are like squared or whatever, you know, kind of sort of, which is kind of ridiculous to see in 2012, you know. And when the camera gets close up on the character's face, like, their hair is really like just craptastic looking. So yeah, there is those things, but other than that, that's pretty much the only graphical annoyances I had. Other than that, the game looks fine. The game looks great. It's pretty much just in the cutscenes where it zooms, you know, gets really close to the character models. It's when you start seeing all these, you know, graphical blemishes. You see what I'm saying? But other than that, the graphics are fine. Let's see, that's pretty much all I could talk about. Just generally, there is like a lot more in here. I could get into specifics and whatnot, but like I said, this review and this video would just be too damn long. But like I said, guys, this is an epic game, epic story. This story is not generic. You will not see it. You really won't see it coming. It has a great you know, moral, you know, a moral behind it. You know, it's all about being able to change the future. You know, nothing is predetermined, whatever. Put your mind to it and you can accomplish whatever the hell you want to do. You know, that's pretty much the moral of the game or whatever. And while that is, you know, that's not a, you know, unique moral or anything. That's nothing we haven't heard before. You know, they present the moral, you know, in a really great and, you know, epic way. So, you know, it's just, I can't stop using the word epic, because that explains this game perfectly. You know, the scope of the game, epic. The story of the game, epic. The gameplay, epic. The characters, epic. Now, I did a speed run. I almost forgot to talk about the length. I did a speed run of this game. The speed run was 70 hours. 70 hours. And I say that I did a speed run because I really didn't do any of the side quests. I didn't do any of the character affinities, really. And I didn't do that much weapon gem fusion. So I didn't get much into the, you know, the systems they have in place into the game. See what I'm saying? So that's why I say I called it a speed run. That's why I call it a speed run. So most people I've talked to, they said they've completed it in 100 to 150 hours. So I'd say this is pretty much a 125-hour game. And then when you're done beating the game, they have it to where you can use your save data and you can start the game over at the same level that you ended the game. So I was able to start a new game at level 78, and I still had all my armor, all my abilities, all my you know, gems, things of that nature. So that's pretty cool. So there is some replay value there. But yeah, it's a very long game, especially if you know, try to do all the side quests and you do all the, you know, the character logging. Like, you know, you get like it's like this, you know, whole webbing thing of these characters and how they relate to each other and stuff like that. There's like a colony that you can reconstruct, you know, this little simulator kind of thing. Get materials to rebuild this town that was destroyed. So there's a lot of different things you can do in this game. I really didn't bother with that at all either. So that's another reason why I consider it a speed run, because I really didn't bother with that. So yeah, if you try to do everything in this game, you can go well over 150 hours, like no problem. This game is long. It'll last you forever. And like I said, you like the characters, you like the villains. Everything is awesome. It is a unique game. It's not your typical generic JRPG. Trust me on that. So for me, this is the best RPG this gen. And Japan pretty much confirms that, you know, there's consensus, you know, in Japan that this is the best RPG. So if Japan says it, that pretty much confirms it. So that means that you need to go get the game right now. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you guys think about the game down below. If you have any more questions, just post them down below, and I'll see you later.